So I hope you enjoyed this setup. This is the most rough and uncut version that I can do about this. So I hope you don't mind. I hope you're happy with this. This is going to be my photo comments about the pictures that you send me. First off is Cid Reyes Bustos. Let's open the images. So Cid sent 3 images, 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna react to them one by one. Bloom, first one. What do I think about this? This is medium format, isn't it? Like 120? Yeah. Zenobia Flex. What is this? Zenobia Flex. Man, it's like a Rolleiflex, but like another version. There's so many film cameras, man. That always happens. I always find a new one and a new one, and there's always like new stuff coming up. Okay, so this is Zenobia Flex. Cool. Now I know what you're talking about. What can I say about this? It's alright. It's hard to make the man the center of attention. That's not absolutely clear to me, at least. My eyes are more drawn to this thing, which I think are chairs probably. The issue is when you're shooting black and white, the main thing that you need to focus on is trying to make contrasts. So in this image, there's a lot of white in here, and there's like this black area over here, and there's like another area of white inside the black structure or darker structure. So the man being in here, even though if you focus like really close like this, it might be the center of attention, like at this distance probably, but being so far, it's kind of hard to make it important, and it's just chilling. So I don't know if it tells. Not every picture has to tell a story, so scratch that. But I'm not sure it conveys something that I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I checked this. Maybe it could have been more interesting to take like a frontal shot of the building and play with the contrast with the sky. If your interest was shooting the guy, maybe shooting it from the front, since he has like a dark background on top of his head and around him. So maybe if you only took a picture of this area, for example, or since you're shooting with this camera, which is probably like a 75mm or something, you could maybe get all this area, but then it will be easier to compose, because right now there's a lot of elements and it's hard to tell. Yeah, next one. Últimos días del Carnaval de Bilbao. So last days of the Bilbao Carnival. And this was taken with a Minolta CL and a 40mm. I don't like 40mm, man. Do you feel they're comfortable? I can't get used to them. Anyway, again, the one thing that I would change in this picture, if I am allowed to change something, is the perspective again. But it has to do with, it feels like a picture that you just lifted the camera to your eyes and took it. It doesn't feel like you put an effort into constructing the image. Now, this is coming from me. I always crouch, so just take what I'm commenting with a grain of salt. I would personally have crouched or created some kind of perspective, especially with 40mm. If you take the pictures with straight lines, like if there's something straight and you stand up like this booth, if you're standing straight, it gets like a little bit deformed. That usually happens with wider lenses, right? So if you want to make it completely straight, you need to like crouch a little bit and see exactly where the lines are perfectly still. And that could have made it a little bit more interesting. But right now it feels like the perspective is not really helping on the story. And I would really love to know about the kid and talking with the woman on the back. I think that's really interesting. I would love to get that. So you could, again, as a system of perspective, to make it more, to make it pop a little bit more, I would have crouched a little bit and get closer to the center of the action. So maybe the guy, I would have put it like, I would have cropped the image in situ. So I would have moved around here probably, and then try to compose with these 3 elements. There's another guy in here. I haven't noticed because it's far away from where I'm standing, but probably I would try to compose with all the elements instead of trying to make it so far away. But that's just how I love shooting. So That's fine. This one's really nice. I like this one. I also like pictures of children, so that even though it sounds weird, but I really do love how children behave in public and how they interact with each other. So yeah, but this one's really interesting. This is the best of the bunch. I have this contradictory feeling that I think it's nice that it's centered. It's a little bit tilted, but nothing terrible. But you could have played more with these three elements, with the woman in the back, the girl, and this other girl in here. You could have moved a little bit to the right and then create like a more clear line between their heads, because right now the movement that my eyes make, like I immediately get the attention from all these lines and I go to her, but then my eyes are already in the center and I have a head in here, which is, it kind of puts me off, and then I see later on this other figure. So as an instant image, it works that he's in the center, but as an overall narrative for the picture, I think it would be more interesting to have like a straight line with the heads. If you could move around a little bit and take a picture in that space, that would have been, to my opinion, a little bit more dynamic. Dynamic is the word. Yeah, that's pretty good. I really like this one with an M4. It's always hard to tell exactly what's going to happen in the image with the M's, right? The M3, I have the same issue. Like when I take a picture, I have to imagine that the camera is ever so slightly to my right and a little bit down. So whenever something too close to the camera is in here, I have to, before I take the picture, I kind of move a little bit to see exactly what's going to happen, and then I take it. I don't know if you guys do this, but with rangefinders, that's definitely one thing that I have to do. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. But only when it's like super critical, when I have to be really specific about what's going to appear. Kairib, that was pretty good. Thank you, man. Thank you for trusting this issue. Thanks for sending your submission. That was really, really cool. Ed Warrington. I'm going to open your 3 pictures. Ed, I hope you don't mind. Let's go for the first one. This has to do with how much we are focused when we're taking a picture, and this is like a lesson that I'm gonna say it out loud, but I'm also trying to keep it for myself. But whenever I'm trying to take a picture of something, I am always trying to, at the same time as I am about to take the picture, especially with TLRs, which you have to be looking down. It's hard to look down and then like be completely aware of what's gonna happen. So what I guess happened is that you wanted to take a picture of the man, and then this guy jogging like came up on the right of the image, and it just got like cut in the middle. So you caught in the mid of the action, but it kind of screw up the whole composition, because I think this would have been better if you could just cut it. But at the same time, the only, how can I say this? It's not interesting, is not the word, but the only focus of attention where our interest lies is the guy with the dog. So maybe on this occasion it would have been better to wait a little bit, and if you see this figure, or you can hear it, you hear that there's like some steps going on your side. So if you wait for the guy to come in the frame and then you capture it, maybe if you capture it over here, you could have another perspective with the figure of the guy over here and the figure of this guy over here, and then with these people down here, you could have more like another line, because you already have lines over here, on the horizon. There's lines all around. So if you could use the heads of the people to make another line, that could have been interesting. But I love the angle. Like I love ground level shots or like lower shots. I'm a fan of Sergio Larraín, so you know that's one of the things that I enjoy in pictures, like accessing to certain kinds of perspectives that you usually don't do, because you're not crouching in real life. You're not like a dwarf. So yeah, that's definitely one thing that could have been improved in this picture. But I like the idea. I think it's working. Like it's just having a little bit more patience and a little bit more awareness of what's going to happen. That's one thing that usually happens, that when you're trying to take a picture of something, as I said, especially with TLRs, you focus so much on like focusing the image and staying there and waiting for the moment that then something unexpected happens, and sometimes since it's unexpected, you can't really take account for it. But you gotta be aware of what's going to be in the frame, but at the same time of your surroundings. So that double attention is, to me, the most important part of taking pictures with TLRs especially. And SLRs, because you're not able usually to see around you because you're like closing on one eye, unless you open both eyes. But I guess it's easier with rangefinders because you see outside the frame, so it's easier to calculate that. But I'm not sure. Maybe you're shooting like a 50mm in an M3 and then there's no space to wander around. So, okay. Next one. Yeah, another image from my latest scene, Coast. Oh man, you made a scene? Oh man. That sounds interesting. That's with a Senza Bronica S2A. What's the Senza Bronica S2A, man? As I said, there's so many cameras, man. Oh, okay. It's like a Hasselblad of sorts. I don't have much to say about this. It's so out of my area of expertise, if I can. I want to say I'm an expert on anything, but it's kind of far from my area of my aesthetic area of interest. But I think there's a nice movement in here. There are very few things that you can do when you take pictures of landscapes. That's one thing that makes me not be a big one thing that I'm not a big fan of landscapes for is exactly this reason. Like I would say, oh, it would be really interesting if this, this rock formation could move like this instead of like this, or it could have like another twist somewhere. But you can't control that really, because you have a body that compared to the landscape is really small, so it doesn't matter really if you move too much, the landscape's not going to change on your lens. So I feel like landscape photography has another pace than the one I really like to have, or I feel really powerless when I take pictures of landscapes. I feel like there's not much I can do. Except really choosing what's going to be in the frame exactly and what's not going to be in the frame. In this case, I think it's really well taken. I really like that you got up to this point and then left a little bit of air and then cut it, and then this is cut right in the middle. I think that's a really good choice. Is this part of next to where you were standing? I think it is, probably. All the places seem so dangerous, man, but it's really nice. I like the colors. Is that some Hector? Yeah, that's some Hector. Nice. I love Hector, man. That's the nicest 120 film ever. But it's so expensive. I only shot like one roll and I loved it, and then I should shoot some more. Anyway, next one is Cardiff Central Station at night with an Nikon F301. Again, like this looks like this is the commentary that I have almost for everything, but like this line and this line, if you want to make a game with lines, because I think that's the name of the game in this picture, you have this thing, and then the line of lights, and then the wall, and then the line of this cones. If you want to make a game with this, you could still compose a little bit more dynamically with this. So these two seem too close and this one seems too far away, so you could maybe move around a little bit, probably to the right and down, so this cone will be around here and this cone will be in the middle, so the cones will be more even, and that will be the only even distance in the whole image. These people on the back seem like an interesting bunch. This is probably like a bus guy who tells the times, and these are just passengers. Looks like they're leaving. Maybe I'm wrong, but if they're leaving, you could have waited a little bit more until there's absolutely nobody in there. Because right now they seem like they're there, but you don't really want them to be there. Or if you want them to be there, it's not really clear that that's exactly what you wanted. So those people over there, what made me in this image is like, I don't know exactly why they are there. You could either make them more present or completely subtract them from the image. But as they are now, this image, it seems like a halfway. So usually for me, my perspective, and I try to make it happen, but it's really hard, man. So I'm being really hard on this, guys. I'm sorry if I'm being too harsh, but I mean, this is my opinion. I treat myself hard, like even worse. But I think if we are gonna take pictures of something, or in a situation, we need to be super careful of what's in there. And if something is in there, we need to make it in there full on, no halfway. Right now, I would say it's halfway there. So you could still go full on and remove these people, wait a little bit more, or just if you want to make them more present, walk towards them. And then you will need to make games with objects to create certain dynamic. You will have people, which people always make more dynamic stuff than objects, unless the objects are absolutely dynamic and they're like super organized by an architecture, but usually that's not the case. That would be my suggestion. Jared Stone has another 3 images. Man, I'm so glad we're taking pictures from Instagram. It's so comfortable. Gloucester Road. This is a really nice image. Everything is a little bit too composed on the edges, so the foot of the guy is like barely like touching the edge of here, and there's a little bit too much room on the sides. The poster of the Gloucester Road, you could cut it a little bit down here and give more air to the feet, so it makes it more even. I think it's fine. I'm not sure if it's completely focused on the guy. I think it's focused on here, more or less, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. It's like focused on this ad. So that's usually, well, that's nothing you can do about it once it's done. Focusing with SLRs, man, I don't know how, like, I'm not really able to do it. An OM4Ti. You know what? I think it's fine. It's just not focused exactly where I should. According to me, it could be focused on the guy sleeping and leave a little bit more room on his feet, so you could get more like an image of what's happening. It feels it's alright. I like the idea. I like the subject. Well, it's well exposed. Like, I'm taking that as a base. Everything's working as it should. It's a good image, but it could definitely have a little bit more improvement on that area. Next one. I like still images, and this is really well composed. The same camera, an OM4Ti and some T-Max 400. This is really fun. I like this. This is a terrible thing about taking pictures on the street. You cannot control what's happening. So this, like, it would be really nice if this cut will be between them. That would be stellar, but then you would lose the frontal situation. You just gotta play with what you have. Even though I love still images where completely from the front, and when there's like 2 subjects and there's people in there and you take a picture right in front of them, I'm not really sure on this one, even though it works because there's like this thing in here, but it feels more like you're, here's the thing, it feels like you're protecting yourself, so you're trying to compose behind this small wall, because if you go too close it will look weird, which I understand. But if that's the case, like, this is not really telling me much, because there's already a line in here and it breaks here. So there's like a line and it goes through, and then this one breaks, and there's already another line in here. But this one, I don't think it's telling me much. So from my perspective, you could either get rid of this and like have made the image like so, and getting more information on top, and getting a little bit closer, which would have sparked a reaction on the kids, who seem to be talking, and they're like really cool about it, which it's cool. I like it. But if we're trying to perfect something which is already good, that will be my advice. But I really like this one too. This one's super nice. This one's really nice. It's really dynamic. As is, this is my favorite of the 3 by far. This is really well composed. This is an interesting position of the subject. It's really dynamic. I don't know if I would have centered it. When we look at an image and it's completely centered, my feeling is that it ends immediately. It's like a food that you consume and it's gone. Like, you already tasted it. But when it's a little bit off center, or where the composition is kind of weird, or there's like elements that are not exactly in the first point that you see as soon as you see an image, when the eye has to travel around to find the objects or the subjects on the image, I think it adds a little bit more of time in the browsing of the image. I think I would have loved, even though it's super well composed, and I'm just nitpicking, and maybe this is too much, and I'm sorry if this is the case, but I would certainly have composed it at least once like this. That's super good. It's a good image, but once more without being on the center, so my eyes could travel a little bit more using the lines and not having all the architecture and all the lines as a just decoration, because right now it's like the subject's in the center and all the rest is just like decoration. So if you could use that thing that currently is decoration as a way of getting a flow in the image, that would be really interesting. But I think that's fine. That's a good one. Thanks, Jared. Man, that's I'm really happy about this. I'm having a blast, man. I hope you're having fun. I don't know if it's too long. It's 26 minutes. I'm really sorry, but I'm having a blast. Okay. Flashnappen, there you are. The vignetting is a little bit too heavy on this one. Is that yeah? It's Pippi Longstocking. Not much going on here. I'm not gonna be a douche about it. It's just that there's not much going on. The face of the little, is it a girl? I can't tell if it's a girl or a boy, holding something, and there's like a shoe. The vignetting is too heavy, man. I would recommend it going easier on the post-processing, and yeah, that would be my suggestion. And choose a subject that you're, by subject I mean like the subject of the image, or the object of the image, the main center of attention. I would suggest picking something that really caught your attention and not just something that is in front of you, which when I started taking pictures, I don't know how far you've been on this, maybe a long time and I'm just being stupid, but on my case, when I first started, I was taking pictures of a lot of things, and many of those things were not really things that caught my attention. So what happens is, as time passes, my attention gets, I won't say more refined, but I'm more specific about the things that I'm interested in, and since I have a genuine interest in something, I need and want to capture it in the most efficient way. In this case, I don't see like the shoe is really something that caught your attention. I think it was just something that was there. Therefore, it doesn't feel like you really wanted to take a picture. It just feels like a snapshot. This one's kind of in the same area, but is a lot better composed. I like this one. This is the Big Ben. Man, this is a nice location. Yeah, this is much better. I think this line over here doesn't add much to it. You could maybe crop it over there, like so, or compose in a square format, like that. What makes me a little bit of noise is that everything is too crowded in here, and then there's like a lot of space. So again, you could make this, of course you can make it, whatever you want, but I would suggest you to be very attentive on how you clump things together in the image. So for example, in this, there's like too much information in here, and then there's white, and then there's too much information in here, and then there's this thing which is causing me noise. Like this is not adding really any information. It could add information if you would step to the left, and then this would be like around here, and you will have like a clear edge. But by doing so, the Big Ben will be lost. So if you really want to have the Big Ben and the bird and the line, you could have walked to I was saying you should have walked to the right to get this, but if you walk to the left, these two elements, the Big Ben and the wall, will be a little bit more separated, and then it will probably wouldn't feel as crowded over here. So it has to do with trying to adjust your body to the situation. That's a key. Usually when we're taking pictures, we tend to think of composing as moving the camera around from the perspective we have on our eyes, like right in front of us, we can move it like this. But this is just a little, like, to me, the movements of the camera on my eyes are like the micromanaging of the image. Like the real managing of the composing has to do with moving my body and trying to find a place. And once I'm like really sure, like, oh yeah, this is more or less where I want to take a picture. Now I put the camera on my eyes and now I micromanage like what's going to be exactly on the frame. But the big movement starts way earlier. So I think there's one step missing, and it's like that big movement to get it there. That would be my suggestion. And the last one, that's all right. There's a nice light back here. I think you could be way bolder with this image. It's not like I can tell the same thing that I said on the first image. I can tell you wanted to take a picture. You really have the desire to take an image, but the subject is not really something that you're passionate about, it seems to me. But you're passionate about taking pictures and just trying to try new things, which is how we move forward. And that, like, I salute you, good sir. That's really cool. My suggestion for this one is again the same thing that I said about the bus stop. You have to be bolder when you take an image. And by bolder, I mean take a decision and stand by it and go all for it. So if you're gonna take a picture of this this pair of glasses, you could, for example, move way closer, and then this small, like this glass over here could be giant around here, and this transparent could give you like another shape, and you could have like something like this, you know, like a weird shape of glasses, and then like a small one or like another one behind it. You could compose something really weird with this very same elements just by moving your body and trying to adjust the camera. So just as an experiment, I think that will be interesting to do. But the overall arc and my overall suggestion for you, Flashknappen, will be Flashknappen. That's your nickname. Tobias, right? You're Tobias. Am I not being stupid about this? Yeah, Tobias. My main suggestion, Tobias, will be to try to find subjects that would really take your interest in. Like if you find something, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be something completely out of the norm. It can be your kids. It can be yourself. It can be anything that you think it's interesting to lay your eyes on. It could be a window where there's like a nice light, and you could take pictures of the same window many days until you find something. There's always a breakthrough moment when we follow projects and when we follow something that caught our attention. I can freaking guarantee you this. There's always a moment in which like pieces just get together and you know what you're doing, or like you get that image that you were looking for. So that was my suggestion. Try to find subjects that interest you, and you will definitely get there. That's really cool. Okay, last two. This is Scarbolix. How are you, man? Here's your picture, meeting place, Yashica Electro Classic, which I haven't tried on my channel yet, but I hope I can find one in good condition because they're really expensive nowadays. Not really expensive, but they usually, sorry if I'm like diverging on this, but usually the problem I have with the Yashica Electro is that it needs like a change on the batteries thing, and it's always, for me, hard to get one, send it to change the batteries, or find the replacement batteries and then try it, because I have to get the camera, take a pictures, and then develop the rolls, scan them, see if it's working, and then I have to shoot the episode. So I'm always like in a hurry, and I've never had the time to really try the Yashica Electro, so I really want to do that. Okay, I'm back now. When I think about this again, it has to do with weighting. Like this figure would be way more interesting if it would be around here, and these two people will be way more interesting if they will be over here, because right now they're almost doing something, but there's like information that is, to me, it's not really telling me anything interesting. So you gotta make a decision. Like this thing is not telling me anything. So you could either make it disappear by crouching a little bit more, or you could make it more present and try to compose, because this thing is white, as we saw in the first image, is white on a dark background. So my eyes go to the middle, and then they go down, and boop, I found this guy, and then I found this thing, and then I'm like, what is this? So if you're gonna take a picture in black and white, and there's like a white thing on top of a black background, it's gonna be noticeable for sure. So my suggestion would be try to compose with this in mind. So it will be this thing, that guy in the middle, and this thing white again, and then this black, these two black figures, and then the white background. I think it's almost I think this is almost what you wanted, but you missed a little bit of the beat here. It's like if this was a song, you miss the beat by a microsecond, and then it feels like it's almost there. It's almost there, but it's not exactly there. Like this figure could have been more here, and this other two figures more over here, and then it will be the composition will be more interesting. But like it's just timing, man, and timing is it's not that hard to fix at all. If you want to fix, if you like the outcome as it is, it's good. Like that's also an important thing to say. I'm not trying to change what you're doing. Like, oh, you should do it the way I think you should do it, because who am I to say that? But that would be my suggestion. Like, just be more attentive to the timings that you have, and it will be okay. And the last one by Federico Arrieta. Let's see it, and it's this one. What's happening here? It's just like the attitude of the little guy is really good. I really like this attitude, just leaning on this black. What is like a bus stop? There are two things that let's say 3 elements that I'm not completely convinced about this. One, if this figure which is holding the hands of somebody else and it looks weird, it looks like, since you just cut it, it doesn't feel like feels like there's something going on, but it's not really going on. This person looks like a woman on the side, which might be the mother holding the jacket. It's alright, but I feel like it's since you cut it, it doesn't really tell me much. And this thing over here, which is like trash, this could have been interesting to use also. So, because now you have certain, like at least 7 elements, and all of them are like, almost all of them are cut except the kid and the trash. So you have this couple which is cut, the bus is cut, the car behind it is cut, this other car is cut, the woman in here is cut, and then the little guy, the boy, and the trash are in its entirety. So I would suggest that you could maybe compose using the elements, for example, that you already have, but in a more dynamic way. Do you really need to see the trash? If you do, then maybe you could, I don't know, go a little bit lower in order to not cut these people's head, or just wait for them to leave, move to the side. For example, what would happen if in the same situation you would move to the left, and then this thing, what is this, like a pillar, and this pillar will be at the edge of the screen, so it will be like this, right? It will be like so. And if it's like so, you could compose, since you already moved to the left, and we're thinking in 3D, right? So there's the guy, here are the pillars, then there's the mother. If you move around, then the image will be like this. The couple who are on the back will disappear, and then you will have this situation. So you will have the mom and the kid, and you could have like an interesting straight line. You could compose like that. The other thing is, it would have been really interesting if you would taken a picture the other way around, because the boy is covering his body with the hand, right? So it could be an interesting gesture, but the back is not telling me anything that I don't already know. It's just a kid like leaning on something. So maybe if you go the other way around and you like get a better grasp of the kid's expression, that could have told me another story. Yeah, that's always the case of taking pictures on the street. There's always this thing like, oh, if only I could have been on this other place. Sometimes it depends on us. I think this is one of those cases. It feels like you saw this and you just lift the camera and like move it like this, took a picture, and that was it. But I think there's a need to activate the body and trying to, as I said earlier, manage the scene and then micromanage the composition. So that will be, again, my suggestion here will be to either find a way in perspectives to get rid of this couple, and or the better option to me will be to take the picture from the other side and then to compose with the new elements, because I'm pretty sure there's other buses and cars on the other way, but at least we'll have a full view of this little guy. That is my suggestion, and those were all the images. I hope you had fun with this. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you so much, man. Thanks a lot for trusting me on this one. I hope you had fun. I had a blast doing this. I will do this every single month because why not? Like we're on this together, so we can all enjoy it. If you would like to have your images critiqued and and have me talk about it, just post them. They don't have to be like the best of the best. It can be like something that you think might be interesting. For example, there are many things that sometimes I take a picture and I know it's not a great image, but I know there's something there, and it's like a topic or a situation or a subject or a place, or it's something that I want to work on. So that will be also interesting. Don't focus. This is not like, you don't have to post things that are worthy of hanging on a wall, because like I think this is more like a workshop. That's how I envision it. Like, you guys can show me images that you think can be cool to work on, or like expand or do something with them, and then I could give you my feedback if I also think like that, or maybe you're seeing something that I'm not seeing, because that also happens, since photography is a medium that is particularly extremely subjective, because it has to do with reality in its immediate state, and then just mediated through the position of a body in space as the beholder. Trying to come up with a creative narrative from an artist's perspective only based on the position of a body on space, it's quite specific. So in that regard, it's highly subjective, because then, I don't know, maybe you can find beauty in seeing something and I might not, or the other way around. So I'm trying to be as general, broad as I possibly can. So anyway, if you think that would be interesting to see, please post them right on this video. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the photo workshop, and I will see you on the next one. Just leave your images down there and we can all share, and maybe I will share you some of my images on the next one, like things that I've been shooting and I think are might be interesting. So let's all collab. Let's not make it only a frontal thing where I talk about your thing and I pretend like I know everything. I'm gonna put myself up to the task too, and show you what I've been shooting, even if I'm not really 100% convinced about it. Maybe there's something worth talking about it, or why I think it's interesting. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you had fun. I will see you pretty soon. Bye guys.